Calculus 3 and UMTYMP, which is the final year of UMTYMP. So I'm in my last semester. And UMTYMP has showed me a lot of different aspects of math that I never knew before, and I've learned a lot from it. And I have taken this practice exam. I initially struggled with it, having to retake it multiple times, which I feel allowed me to get a better understanding of the strategies used to pass it, which I believe can help me be a better teacher in the team strategies.
All right, so my name is Aaron Zoe, and I am also enrolled in UMTYMP Calculus 3, which is the last year of the program. And I've found a lot of success within the UMTYMP program. I've learned a lot of math, and it's really brought my confidence up in math. And I'm excited to help any aspiring UMTYMP students to also get into this amazing program.
Hi, my name is Eric, okay, and I recently finished Calculus 2 in UMTYUMP, and like a lot of people who first tried the UMTYUMP entrance exam, I unfortunately failed it, and I had to retest, and I felt like I just want students to like basically, I don't want them to like go through the struggle of relearning everything. I want them to basically be better prepared in order to go into UMTYUMP with a fresh, clean mind and with a good learning attitude. Because a wise mind is a learning mind, so join out to learn more.
All right, so what is UMTYMP? So we've met the tutors already. So now maybe some of you guys are wondering what UMTYMP is. So UMTYMP stands for the University of Minnesota Talented Youth Math Program. And as the name suggests, it's a very accelerated and very difficult to get into program. And UMTYMP actually starts with like high school or eighth grade level math, and it goes all the way into college level math. So it starts with Algebra 1 and it goes all the way to Calculus 3, which was multivariable calculus. And it's hosted by the University of Minnesota. So this program is obviously very selective because it covers a vast variety of difficult topics in a very fast pace. And if you guys didn't know already, well, I'm sure you guys all know that you have to pass an extremely hard entrance exam to get into the program. So how can someone pass the UMTM entrance exam? Well, there's a secret, and the secret is to practice and practice and practice a lot. So you have to solve many, many practice problems, and you have to be familiar with all the tricks. And that way you can be really efficient with your time, and you'll be able to solve all the problems and breeze through them and get a good score on the test. Because the test is also very um, time, you have to be really good with managing your time. So what our class will offer is we will teach the tricks and the math skills necessary to pass the entrance exam. So on the tests, on the entrance exam, there is a lot of hard, like basic algebra and pre-algebra concepts. And we will cover all of that and ensure that your student will be able to have these concepts down and ready for the entrance exam. And of course, for any test, there's always tricks, and our class will teach all of the tricks to save time and really just solve the problem as efficiently as possible. And of course, us four tutors, we have compiled many problems, and we will send out a bunch of practice problems and practice tests every week for your child to practice so then they can really be prepared to excel the test. So, what the topics that we're going to go over in this course, we're going to start with some basic notation stuff like PEMDAS variables and special operators. Then we're going to go on to pre-algebra where we'll learn exponentiation, logarithms, prime numbers, and counting, and other pre-algebra topics. Then we're going to go to some basic algebra, which includes solving for variables, variables with exponents in them, and different techniques to simplify expressions. And then we're going to go into factorization, which does come up a little bit on the test. So topics like prime factorization, counting the amount of factors a number has, and factorials, that does come up on the test. And then finally, every week we're going to have mock practice exams and we're going to review them. So our class will officially start after this week. Today is the information session. So next Sunday, we'll have our first class, and classes will happen every Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. in Central Time. And we'll meet every Sunday. And if your student happens to miss like the first or second class or has to skip a class, there's no worries. You can always just join the next session. We cover different topics every time, and they aren't necessarily built on each other, so that's okay. And we'll be recording every single lecture, so then if your student does happen to miss a class, they can go ahead and just watch the recording and make it up. So next Sunday on March 15, we'll have a class going over pre-algebra tricks and practice problems. So this is how our class will be formatted. So classes are 2 hours long. The first hour is dedicated to a lecture, and then we're going to have a short break. And after that, we're going to do a mock practice test, which would be 25 minutes. And then we're going to go over the test, which will take around 30 minutes. And then after that, Aditya will go over any homework that the student may have any questions on. And all homework is optional, but we will be providing that. So what should your student bring to this class? Well, the class will be online over Zoom every week, so make sure that your student has a device that can run Zoom. And all your student really needs to bring is paper, pencil, and their brain. And of course, a learning mindset. Okay, so just in case you guys have not registered for the class officially yet, you can go ahead and scan this link, and it will link to the form, I believe. And you can go ahead and fill that out. You can take a screenshot of this as well. I'll pause on it for a few more seconds. All right. So now I'm going to hand it off to Kevin to explain how the entrance exam works.
Thanks, Aaron. Okay, the UMTM entrance exam is a pretty special type of exam. Its format is very unique. Essentially, for each question, there are 50 of them in total. Uh, you will be given two different things, and you have four multiple choice options. So the two things will be in boxes labeled A and B. A comes before B. And essentially, if A is bigger, answer A. If B is bigger, answer B. If A and B are equal, then answer C. And if it's ambiguous, like if it could be either, or if you just can't figure it, or if it's just like not possible to figure out, then you pick D. So we're going to go through some brief example questions just to show how it works. Oh, right, format. Okay. Also keep in mind that you are on a time limit, and for each question you do have not a lot of time. So one important piece of these practice exams is training your speed, because if you run out of time, that's actually a pretty big barrier on the test. Okay, here's our first example question. Does any of you can answer? You can either unmute and answer, or you can put it in chat. What would you put for this question? I'll give you guys 10 seconds for that.
So remember, if quantity A is bigger, you put A. If quantity B is bigger, you put B. If they're equal, you put C. And if it's impossible to determine, you put D.
Great. I see a lot of people put B, which is correct, because the quantity B, which is 2, is always greater than the quantity A, which is 1. Next example. This one is might take a little bit longer. I'll give you guys 10 seconds again. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of C's in chat. That is the correct answer, because 3 times 4 is 12, and 24 over 2 is also 12. So the quantities are equal, and because of that, we put option C as our answer. This one might be a bit tougher. 10 seconds again. Wow, we got a few smart cookies in chat. At first glance, it might be easy to look at it and think that the x squared is always bigger, just because for most numbers, that's how it works. But if you think of numbers like 1/2 or anything less than 1, or anything between 0 and 1, x squared is actually smaller than x. For example, 1/2 squared is 1/4. So just because it could be multiple things and you can't determine which one it is, the answer here would be D.
Yeah, I'm just gonna interrupt you for a second. Can whoever wrote what on the whiteboard please erase it? We're trying to keep it professional here. Thank you.
Okay, last one. And then we'll show you guys some real questions. You guys can answer in chat. The correct answer is A. This one is a little bit trickier. It is good practice whenever you see X to just like test a few cases, just in case it's D if there's any exceptions. But for this one more than a number is always more than a number. So quantity A is greater. Moving on to some real example questions.
So these were the questions that UMTYMP officially gives out as like a sample problem. So these are the kinds of questions that are on the test, and it follows the same ABCD format.
You might need a bit more time for these, but keep in mind that you do need to be fast on the actual exam because you only have around on average 30 seconds per question. Okay, the answer to the first one is D. You cannot determine. So this one is pretty tricky, but if you do a little bit of algebraic manipulation, which we will teach in later classes, you find out that 2x is less than y. But this does not necessarily mean that x is less than y, because if they're both negative, it's possible that x is actually greater than y. For the second one, the answer is B. This one is pretty standard computation. You guys know how to do division with remainders. But for the first one, it would be 2, and for B, it would be 3. So 3 is greater than 2.